Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. My name is Natasha. You might know me as Planted in Platinum on TikTok and Instagram. This week's video is going to be a Repot and Chat Q&A. So thank you to everybody who submitted questions. I have 20 of them to get through, so I think that's a pretty good number, and they're all excellent questions. And I have a whole bunch of baby plants off to the side of me that I want to either pot up or repot. I do have an upcoming market, so a lot of them will just be potting up for the market, but some of them are just going to be putting into their permanent substrates so that I can take them out of my prop room and make some space. I also have a new plant that I want to show you, two of them actually, two new plants that I want to show you today, so stay tuned for that. All right, so I'm gonna start off by showing you my new plants. I have two of them. So this here is a variegated philodendron gloriosum that my friend so kindly gifted to me. I want to take this out of its substrate and just pop it into a new substrate and check on the roots and all of that fun stuff. But oh my goodness, I'm so excited to grow this plant. You have no idea. It's got new growth coming in there. So yeah, we shall see how we do with this. Next up is my Lacunosa Amarillo. This is a Hoya, and this is from one of my close friends, Alexis. She gave this to me when I went on vacation. I went near her, so I actually stopped into her house and said hi and just had a quick little visit, and she gifted me this, and oh my goodness, it's so pretty. I'm so excited to pot this up today. If you have a Hoya Lacunosa Amarillo, let me know how it's growing for you. Same with the variegated gloriosum. I have never owned those two plants before, so I'm excited but a little bit nervous because they're new to me. I'm going to start with the variegated gloriosums. For philodendrons, I like to use my pond mixed with tree fern fiber and perlite substrate. So that's what I'm gonna try for the gloriosum. So I hope it works. It's not really giving me any problems with philodendrons. This is my substrate of choice for philodendrons. So I'm just gonna pop this into there with some myco. And so first question that came through is, what is your most challenging plant and did you give up on it? My most challenging plant, that's a tough one. I really thought about this, and I'd have to say my Monstera elbow. For some reason, the variegated Monsteras are so hard for me to grow. I have no idea why. I don't know what I'm doing, but I've just always struggled with them. I told you in a different video that I had a variegated Monstera elbow, which my husband gifted me plant money and I went and bought, right? So that one ended up rotting, but it was during the pandemic and I was really sick. So that kind of wasn't really my fault. I currently have 3 Monstera elbows. I had another one actually as well. I'm trying to get a really nice half moon elbow. So the first elbow that I purchased after that one rotted was one that reverted on me, unfortunately. So I actually got that one replaced, and the new elbow is looking pretty. It's looking like it's got some good half moon leaves on it. So that's exciting. And I have 2 more of them as well. One of them actually rotted on me, of course, and the other 2 just weren't growing. So you know what I think it is for me is I have to keep them in super high light. I moved both of the Monsteras that did not rot on me downstairs into my plant room in front of my Barinas, and they started growing, so that's good. All 3 of my Monstera elbows, including the one in the prop box, are all pushing new leaves. So that's great. And my Devon's tie is as well. And the Monstera elbow that's in my prop box is actually under quite a bit of light too. So I really think it was just a light thing for me, but I am experimenting, and I have one of my elbows in pond mixed with perlite, and I have one of my elbows in an aroid mix. So we'll see how that goes. And the one in the prop box, I'm not too sure what I'm gonna pot it in. We'll figure that out when we get there. So this gloriosum already, I can see some of the roots need to be pruned. It looks like it was in moss and perlite and a bit of tree fern. So I'm just gonna do a quick root trim on here. Oh, there's a growth point. There is a growth point right there. You can see that little green dot. But I just want to chop off all of the roots that I think might be rotten and maybe do a soak in hydrogen peroxide. Another plant that's been really difficult for me to grow is actually the Anthurium rugulosum crinitum. Oh my goodness, that plant is terrible. I had 2 of them and both of them are no longer with me today, unfortunately. I really like that plant because of the texture of the leaves. I think it's just so cool, and it would be such a fun plant to make hybrids with, but I don't know if it's worth it. I have no idea. So I got one from Equigenera in the same order as I got my, which plant was that again? My Moronense. So my Moronense and my crinitum both kind of took a dive for the worst. And my crinitum stuck around for a while, actually. It was looking really good. And then all of a sudden, one day, I just decided that it did not want to choose life anymore. And unfortunately, died on me. So then I bought a prop of a rugulosum crinitum off of my friend and tried to grow that. Nope. So I don't know if it was like, because I had them both in my tent, so I'm wondering if it was too warm in there for them, maybe. I'm not too sure. I thought that they would like the higher humidity, which I think that they do. So yeah, I don't know if it was the temperature or what it was. Maybe I wasn't meeting their needs with my watering style. I would like to try that one again one day and see how I do with it, but I'm gonna wait a bit because that plant annoyed me like no other plant. I'm trying to think of another plant that I haven't been able to grow. Oh, my Scindapsus. I think it was a Scindapsus tricolor, that one too. I had it in my tent for like a year, did nothing. It's in my prop box. It started growing and then it melted and now it's back in the prop box. It just does not want to choose life. Does anybody else have that same experience or any advice for me with any of those 3 plants? Please give your girl some advice because I have no idea what those plants want. But we all have those plants and we just have to learn as we go because sometimes it's really difficult to just kind of guess what a plant wants. I'm not the type of person too that will do a whole bunch of research when I get a new plant. I don't know why. I really want to start doing more research on my plants that I purchase, but I just kind of throw them in my tent or in whatever conditions after they've been quarantined to see how they do and kind of adjust from there. I'm more of a hands-on person. Not really super nerdy as into like reading a whole bunch about the plant. Like sometimes I'll go down a wormhole, but usually I just kind of see what works best. Anyways, I have chopped most of the roots off of this variegated gloriosum. That is what we are left with. So I'm gonna just take this whole plant and grab some peroxide water and give it a good soak before I pot this up. I think I might actually let it root out a bit more before I pot it up. It's probably a good idea. So I'm gonna go do that and I'll be right back. So I just have this bottle of water that is half and half peroxide and water, 3% peroxide, and a plastic cup. So I'm just gonna pour some of this into the cup and let that gloriosum soak for a bit. And we'll move on to another plant. All right, there she is. All right, so we're gonna move on to this Lacunosa Amarillo, and I'm just going to put it into my Hoya mix, which is also my aroid mix. This is the mix that we made in my vlog video. And we're going to answer another question. So number 2, how did you get started on your planty journey? Also, love your vids, Natasha. Thank you so much, that's so sweet. So my husband and I bought a house on Vancouver Island in a different city in 2015 when I was pregnant with my middle child. And after I had my middle kid, his name is William, after I had William, I was just kind of going through like a identity crisis. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I was just having a really hard time. So during this identity crisis, I was doing a lot of yoga and manifesting and meditating and just very spiritual. And my husband decided to build me this massive greenhouse outside in the backyard. It was huge. I absolutely adored it. We had all sorts of vegetables, and then I also got into herbs because I was making like infused oils, and what else was I making? All sorts of stuff. I was like drying herbs and just having the best time gardening. So that was really fun and kind of helped me through my little identity crisis I was having. So I just wanted to quickly show you these beautiful roots on my Lacunosa Amarillo. Like, those are so nice. And look at that little cutie. She's adorable. So then I continued doing that for a while, just gardening and growing my herbs and loving my life gardening. And then all of a sudden I think it was like 2017, 2018, I started getting into succulents. So I had not very many succulents, but I had a little bit of a collection, and we ended up moving to Campbell River, which is another town on the island. So we bought a house in Campbell River, and we had a nice deck on the top floor. So my husband built me just kind of like a little greenhouse on the deck, and I collected so many succulents. I filled that thing up with succulents, and I also had a lot of succulents inside of my house. And for my birthday one year, he built me almost like a little greenhouse prop box kind of thing out of wood and just like plastic paper, and put a light in there for me. And I was so happy. So I started propagating all of these succulent leaves, and I just had like the best time. And then the pandemic hit, and I found a friend who I met a little bit before the pandemic. Sorry, I'm just going to put this Hoya into this cup, I think. Do you think that's too big though? I'm gonna go see what else I can find. Okay, so I found this container, which I think is a better idea. So anyways, I found my friend, and we would do chat plants all the time and send pictures back and forth to each other of our new plants and our plant growth, and just had the best time. And then the pandemic hit, and I would literally go buy new plants at the plant store, like any big box store, any nursery, and mask up and make sure everything was sterile and go drop off plants and cuttings on her doorstep, and she would have some left out for me. So we did that continuously through the pandemic, and it was so much fun just having someone to kind of distract you from what was going on with the world. And we ended up looking for, I think it was like a string of hearts, and I found one. And I chopped it into two for both of us, and we were so excited to have that. And then I found a picture on Pinterest of an Emidrium green, and it was so incredibly beautiful. That is when I started getting into tropicals. So I would say 2019 is when I started getting into tropicals, late 2019 maybe. I don't have any recollection of the exact time, but I first loved vegetable gardening, and then I loved herb gardening, and then succulents, which I think a lot of people did the same. And then I got into tropicals after that. So there was quite a few things before my tropical plant addiction started, but I still do love succulents, and I still have a collection of them. I was thinking of repotting them into a video one of these days, because I do need to do like a spring repot of my succulents. If you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments. But my love of plants is with tropical plants right now. I absolutely love them so much. It's been such a fun journey, experimenting and growing all these different tropical plants and meeting so many sweet people along the way. The plant community is just amazing. When I found out that there was plant social media, I turned my whole Instagram into plants. It was my personal Instagram before, and then I literally turned it all into plants. And I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now, maybe 3. I was looking to find a plant name for my channel because my old Instagram just had my personal name on it. I think it was like Natasha something. But anyways, my teenager, who's very creative, I sat down with him and I was like, hey, Tim, I'm looking for a new Instagram name for my plants, my plant channel, basically, my plant Instagram channel, plant page. And we went through so many names for about like a good half an hour to an hour. And then he looked at me and he's like, Mom, what about Planted in Platinum? And I was like, you know what? That actually sounds so sweet. Like it has a nice ring to it. So that is how my plant channel name formed, which was kind of like a little side quest off of the original question that I received. But there's a little bonus question in there for you. So I have potted up the little Lacunosa Amarillo. Oh, and I'm dropping stuff everywhere, but she's looking really good. I like that. It's cute. I'm gonna have to find a cute pot to put it in. It's really the plant community that kept me going, and just my love of being able to create something and be creative. I'm not a very good artist, or I don't really have any creative hobbies. So when I found plants, it was just like a way to express myself and have fun. And I truly needed that in my life at the time. It was so nice to just pick up a plant and play with it and talk to my plant friends and show them my new plants and teach my kids about plants. It's such a fun hobby, and there's so much to it that it just constantly keeps me busy, and I need that in my life. I really need that. Let's do my Scindapsus, my variegated Scindapsus, which I showed you guys as well in another video. I think I want to put this into pon. I'm gonna do that. So we'll put this one into pon. I made a fresh batch of pon up last night. I'm just gonna grab that. So here is my pon mix. It's just the Crystal Star Nursery pon mixed with a chunky perlite from Willgrow. And my Scindapsus is in moss, and it is rooted all the way to the bottom. So it's time for this to come out. I don't want to put it on a pole right now. I'm just going to pot it up into some pon and let it grow out a bit more before I do anything with it. My next question: what are your tips for maintaining a large plant collection? That is an excellent question. So what I found has worked best for me is having a clear schedule, just for watering, just for like the basics, you know? So on Mondays, I will water my upstairs plants. I have probably about 200, maybe 150 plants upstairs. So I will water that on Monday, and on Tuesday, I will water my bathroom plants, which is a pretty easy day for me because I don't really have many plants in my bathroom. And Wednesday, I will check on my props and water those and pot them up or whatever I need to do with that. On Thursday, I'll water my tent. And on Friday, I will water my plant room. So that's this room down here, which has probably the most of my plants in it. Saturday, I like to use that day for cleanup. So cleaning up pots, anything that I've used throughout the week that needs a clean, or shelves or whatever. Sunday, I will foliar spray my Hoyas at night after the lights have gone off so that they have time to dry in the morning. So having that schedule really helps me not feel like I'm going crazy trying to keep up with watering, and it also helps me to not have to water so many plants in one day, because I used to do that and it was terrible. It was very terrible. It took me like probably, I don't know, hours and hours. I'm not even sure how many hours, but it took me many hours to water all my plants in one day. So having a clear schedule of when I'm going to water my plants and breaking it up into smaller pieces is very, very helpful. So I suggest if you're having a hard time keeping up with watering, try to do that and see how it works for you. I'm just gonna try to find a no drainage vessel for this so I can put it into pon. But these roots also look amazing. All right, so I found this plastic cup. I like to use plastic pots so I can see the root health through the pot. And Scindapsus root like crazy, so I'm not too worried about it being too big. They do like a lot of water and they do root crazy. So back on with the question. I like to keep up with my pest prevention. Back in, I think like what year was it? 2020 or 2021 maybe. I had a scare. I thought I had thrips, but it was actually a springtail. I just had no idea what the difference was between them. So I found a springtail, of course, on one of my chonks. You know, there's always springtails on chonks. And so I quarantined and treated like 250 houseplants and then found out afterwards what it was. Oh my goodness. So that was a lot of work. So since that day, I heavily pest prevent. Pest prevention can make or break your plant collection. If you feel overwhelmed easily, having a large plant collection may not be for you if you don't keep up on your pest prevention. It's really, really hard to see people go through all of these pest outbreaks. And I'm not saying that pest prevention will automatically just never give you pests, but it gives you a really good chance of keeping pests out of your collection by consistently making sure that you're cleaning your leaves, you're taking action towards keeping pests off of them. So for me, for what I do for pest prevention is in every new season, I will buy beneficial insects, which I just did in the spring. I always buy the Spikel ultimites and the Swierski ultimites, which protect my plants from most mites and thrips and whiteflies. And recently I had a mealybug scare, which literally scared the crap out of me. It actually turned out to be a waxy residue that alocasias produce on the back of their leaves, right up in the midrib of the back of the leaf, right where the veins connect to the midrib, and it can build up and like be white. So I sold an alocasia to this lady and she sent me a picture and she was like, Natasha, do you know what these bugs are? I was like, oh my goodness, it's mealybugs. I've never had mealybugs. So I immediately refunded her money and messaged everyone in the plant group, or not messaged, sorry, I posted in the plant group that I had mealybugs for everybody to check their plants and quarantine them, message me, we can talk about it, whatever, thinking I had mealybugs. And I was so nervous. I didn't want to risk anyone's collections because I had just done a purge. So anyways, long story short, Dakota from Dakota's Plants on YouTube, thank you so much, Dakota, told me on Fern's Discord that that's actually not mealybugs. It looks like the waxy residue that the alocasia leaves produce. So I did my research. I went and got the plant back. I bought a microscope, looked at it. I checked all 300 plus of my plant collection, and yeah, it wasn't mealybugs. So that was really, really nice. So that just made me realize that I needed to start treating for mealybugs as well, like for pest prevention. So I'm gonna have to figure out what to do for pest prevention for mealybugs and add that into my routine, because oh my goodness, I was literally up till 3 in the morning checking all of my plants for mealybugs. It was terrible. But here is my Scindapsus. She's looking good in her pond. You can see the roots through the cup. So that is good because it will give me a chance to keep an eye on this plant's health. I'm just gonna grab another plant quick and I'll keep going with that question. All right, so I have these 2 Dioscorea discolors that I want to bring to the plant market, and they are very, very rooted. I'll show you. See, they have got lots of roots, so I want to pot them up into my aroid mix and get them ready for the market. They're just rooting in water with nutrients in the water. That's why the water is a different color. But look at that cute little baby leaf. Like, how adorable is that? And it's starting a new one up top there, you can see. So anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. So the pest prevention. Make sure that you're on top of pest prevention, because pest prevention can take up a lot of time and be very expensive if you have a pest outbreak and you're not prepared for all of the money you're gonna have to spend and all of the time that you're gonna have to devote to getting rid of all of those pests. If you can try to keep up with your pest prevention routine, that is your best way of not stressing yourself out and just overall maintaining the health of your plants. I mean, it's inevitable. Everybody's gonna get pests. But as much as you can do to try and prevent that, your plants will be grateful. And you will be grateful for not having to deal with it all at once. All right, I think I put too much soil in there, so I'm gonna dump a bit out. Purchase grow lights. Grow lights are amazing. They saved my plants. They saved my life. You can get cheap grow lights on Amazon. The new Barina vertical light, the standing ones, I have 2 of them now, but I want to get more of them. They are very affordable and very strong. They're great. And they're really tall, so it's great for like moss pole plants or plants on a shelf. But grow lights and having plants in your windows, knowing which windows face which ways, but you can just use the compass on your phone to tell, and just researching your plant and seeing what the best light requirement is for it is really helpful. If you can get your plants situated in the perfect spot for them where they're gonna get the adequate light that they need, then they're just gonna grow and be happy. Having prop boxes. Prop boxes are very, very helpful in maintaining a large collection because I always have props everywhere. So if I have prop boxes with lids, I can put all of my props into the prop boxes and have them tucked away somewhere where they're getting light and heat. And then I don't have to be constantly checking on my props around the house. Having a lid on your prop box will keep all of the plants moist for longer. So once you've watered them, it will keep them moist for longer. It'll keep the humidity up. It's just kind of like takes care of itself. So having prop boxes is a very good way to keep track of your props. And also planting in clear pots. Planting in clear pots saves you a lot of time. I like to know. I like to see my roots. I don't like to be guessing or taking a plant out to check on the roots and having to unpot it and potting it back up, because then it just stresses the plant out and it's not gonna grow as fast. I don't know, I've always just been a clear container girly since I figured out that I could use clear containers for plants. Everything is in clear containers. And then I just use cover pots. So that's really helpful too. So here is my first Dioscorea. The backs of the leaves are literally purple. Like, how pretty is that? And the baby leaves are so cute. Anyhow, it is all potted up into its new substrate, so I'm just gonna pop it off to the side and do the other one. My next question is, what temperature do you keep your room plants at? And what is the lowest temperature that you would go? So my room plants are currently sitting at 21 degrees Celsius. We have like a thermostat on the wall in our rental, which shows us what the temperature is. And we also have air conditioning in the summer, so it will go down to like 19, which I think like 18 is the lowest I would go for my indoor plants before I started getting worried about them. Some plants are more sensitive than others, so I do have my grow tent where I'm able to control the heat in there. So if I find a plant is getting too cold, I can just pop it into my tent. My current temperature is 21 degrees Celsius in my ambient room humidity, and the lowest I would keep it at is 18 degrees. And that's just my own personal experience and what I would do. I'm sure other people have had different experiences than me. All right, next question. Your favorite substrates for your different plants. And it also kind of intermingled with another question, which was, I second substrates. How do you choose and experiment with different mediums and setups? So this has actually been quite a popular question that people have asked me in my planty journey. I have always been the type to kind of veer away from soil, so I hate using soil in my plants. I just much prefer using coco coir and semi-hydro for the sole reason of fungus gnats. I do not want a huge fungus gnat outbreak. I hate fungus gnats. They will be the death of me. And I remember when I used to use soil, my husband would literally chase the fungus gnats around with the vacuum cleaner. It was terrible. I felt so bad. I was like, you know what? There's got to be a better way to do this. So I actually just started putting everything into pond. First, I would make my own pond, and then I found Crystal Star Nursery's pond, and I've just been obsessed with it. The different substrates that I use for different plants are as follows. For philodendrons, I like to use my tree fern and pond and perlite mixture. I find that that is just my go-to substrate for philodendrons. It works best for every philodendron that I've put in it. I don't really like doing straight pond for philodendrons. Some philodendrons can handle straight pond, but some of them, I don't know, it just doesn't work as well as I would like it to. So tree fern, pond mixed with perlite for philodendrons. For alocasias, I like to stick with straight pond or my tree fern, pond, and perlite mix. Alocasias do really well in straight pond, most of them. And I find that the younger ones do really, really well with the tree fern fiber mixed in, like your baby corms that have sprouted. I know a lot of people use stratum for their corms, and I've done that too, and it works great, but stratum breaks down eventually. But the tree fern mixed with pond and perlite is just magic. I think it's great. I'm so glad that I found out about tree fern. I just wish it wasn't so expensive. It can actually be used to amend a lot of mixes, and plants just love it. All right, so here is the other Dioscorea all potted up into her new little pot. Little cutie. Then I'm gonna have to figure out what to do next. Ooh, okay, let's do this one. This is my begonia Dracopelta from my friend Alexis. And I've been wanting to pot this up for forever. I have so many begonias around my house just in cups. So I don't know if I want to do pond or an aroid mix. What should I do? The roots are crazy, as you can see in there. I think I might try pond. Let's try pond. Okay, and sorry, I'll keep continuing with that question. This is hard. This is hard to answer questions and do things at the same time. Different substrates for different plants. I just talked about alocasias, so next would be anthuriums. I like to use pond or tree fern, pond, and perlite. So my pond is always mixed with perlite. So I like to use pond mixed with perlite or tree fern mixed with pond and perlite for my anthuriums. I think that those two substrates work well with anthuriums. And also the tree fern and pond soilless aroid mix that I've been experimenting with. I really like that. So those would be the three substrates that I would choose for anthuriums. I always used to just put them into straight pond, and most anthuriums just love it. Love pond. Sorry, with perlite, not pond, straight pond. So pond mixed with perlite. That was my go-to for anthuriums for so long. And then tree fern came to town. And yeah, I started mixing tree fern in with things, and they love tree fern as well. And then I found out about the soilless aroid mix mixed with pond and tree fern, and I think that's going to be the route I'm going to take just for money reasons. It's a lot cheaper to mix tree fern in with the pond and aroid mix. Begonia roots scare the heck out of me. They're so fine. I don't want this plant to go downhill after I repot it. But you know what? I have props of this plant, so I'm not too worried about it. And for Scindapsus, Epipremnum, and Syngonium, I love to use pond. I think Scindapsus, Epipremnum, and Syngonium are very thirsty plants. So pond and no drainage seems to really be what works for me for those plants and my conditions. For Hoyas, I like to use my Hoya mix, which is my aroid mix, or pond mixed with perlite. I'm leaning more towards putting my plants in the Hoya aroid mix than pond lately, just because I always have my Hoyas under such bright light and the algae grows like mad and it drives me nuts. I have pretty much all of my Hoyas in cover pots now though, to try to prevent the algae growth from happening so fast. So there's that. But yeah, I have a lot of my Hoyas in no drainage with a leca reservoir and an aeroid mix on top, and they seem to love that. I need to get some more leca though, like a big bag of leca. My friend actually told me about a store in town that has chunky perlite and leca for a really good price. So I think I'm gonna go check out that store too. I'm really excited. I've never been in there. And for begonias, I like to usually lean towards pond or an aeroid mix. And since begonias freak me out so much and hate their roots being touched, basically, hate being removed out of their pots, I like to propagate them before I transplant them or repot them, because you never know what's going to happen with your begonia. So taking propagations is a really good way to not worry so much about your plant after you repot it. Oh, also for begonias, begonias love moss. I've really been considering growing some begonias in moss long term just to see how they do, because I noticed that they take off when they're in moss. So I don't know. You might be experimenting with that one of these days for sure. For monsteras, I usually lean towards pond mixed with perlite or an aeroid mix. I find that that is the genus that I struggle with the most, is monsteras. So that's also one of my goals this year, is to try to grow my variegated monsteras and to just try generally to do better with my monsteras. Any tips or tricks are welcome. Oh, you know what? I wonder. I have a couple different root systems, and if I chopped this plant, I could put one in an aeroid mix and I could put one in pond and see how they both do. I think I'm gonna do that, just so we're safe. Should I do that? Probably. Okay, let's do it. All right. Well, this one doesn't have as big as of a root system as this one, but I'll just put it in a smaller pot. Okay, so which one are we going to put into pond? That is the question. I'm gonna remove this leaf. These are so pretty. Do you have a Dracopelta? Like, oh my goodness, they're so pretty. Look at that. Okay, do I put this one into soil and that one into pond? Yeah, let's do that. So I'm gonna put this one into soil, and I'm just gonna put it in a small tiny cup because begonias like to be quite snug in their pots. So for monsteras, I do like to use pond or my aeroid mix. I'm wondering if tree fern would be good for monsteras, so I haven't experimented with that. So maybe that's something else we can try out actually. That might be a good idea. But I'm just gonna throw some myco in these roots and pot this up quick. And the other part of that question was, how do you choose an experiment with different mediums and setups? Well, how do I choose an experiment with different mediums is by propagating. I am a propagation addict. I love propagating. I always have many propagations on hand, and I like to propagate in different substrates just to see what works for what, like kind of what I'm doing with this begonia right now. That's how I like to experiment with different substrates, is just by propagating and seeing what works. And there's always like new amendments or like parts of new substrates that people are trying out that I'm always super curious about. So I have to try them, of course, right? And how do I experiment with different setups? So I like to put plants into drainage and no drainage just to see what works. I am a lazy waterer, so I like to water in place. And if I can have a no drainage plant, that is the best. So I'll do that most of the time, but if it's a plant that I find does not like no drainage, then I'll have a saucer underneath so I can still water it in place, and then try to remember to dump the saucer after, or just have a reservoir at the bottom, like a leca layer at the bottom, so that it doesn't matter if I overwater. It's just kind of sitting in the leca and not in the plant's roots. I just experiment to see what works and try different plants, different propagations in different vessels, and see what works best for me and what the plant likes as well, and see what other people are doing too. So there is the Dracopelta in the aeroid mix. she cute? And then we're gonna do one in pond. So for this, oh, I did that the wrong way. I was gonna use the short root system for pond and the long root system for the aeroid mix. Why was I gonna do that, you ask? Well, these are moss roots. Maybe I shouldn't have cut it. I find moss roots do the best in an aeroid mix and water roots do the best in pond, or like perlite roots do the best in pond. But you know what? I'm just gonna try it. I'm gonna put this into pond and we're gonna see if we can get it to take to the pond. I'm gonna go find a no drainage vessel and I'll be right back. Okay, so I found this little clear cup I'm gonna use. Ugh, I'm all over the place here. This is really hard to multitask. All right, so question. Let's figure out a question here. Is it possible to grow anthuriums in ambient home humidity, no tent, or cabinet? Okay, so I accidentally answered a couple questions on my community tabs where I posted the Q&A part so you could ask me questions. I got notifications and I didn't see that it was attached to that post. So I answered a couple questions on there by accident, but that's okay. That is okay because we are here now and we can just chat through them. So I'm gonna grab my pond and pot up the Stracopelta as I'm talking about that. So, is it possible to grow anthuriums in ambient conditions without a tent or a cabinet? Yes, it is. I guess it depends on what your ambient humidity is. If it's like super, super low, like 20, 30, I don't know. I wouldn't really recommend that. I wouldn't really recommend that. I don't have experience with growing in that low of humidity. I live on Vancouver Island, so we have higher humidity. We're surrounded by the ocean. My ambient humidity on any given day is like downstairs in my plant room is usually like between 60 and 70. And if it gets lower, I have a humidifier that I plug in. And upstairs, we run a fireplace, so it gets lower, like 40, 50 sometimes. So I don't keep my anthuriums upstairs. I think I have like 2 up there and they're both doing fine. But I keep the vast majority of my ambient anthuriums downstairs where the humidity is a bit higher. And you know, I've had my struggles with them for sure, definitely. But I think that the most important thing to remember when moving an anthurium from higher humidity to ambient conditions is that you have to have a good root system. Well, in my experience, I know other people grow differently and do things differently and might say otherwise, but I find your best chance is given if you have a good root system on your anthurium. It's really good to experiment and see what that looks like for you, but for me, it's nice when my anthuriums have hit caterpillar growth and I know that they're maturing and then I'll move them out. That's not always the case, but most of the time that's what I will do is just wait for the caterpillar growth to present and then I'll take them out of the tent. Oh my goodness. I just put aeroid mix on top of my pond. Someone save me. Okay, get that out of my way. And always keep up with the watering. Watering is so important with anthuriums. You can't let them dry out, like most of them. There are some anthuriums that prefer to be drier, but you just have to research and know which ones those are. There's just a couple in my collection that I found like to dry out a bit more between waterings. So if you can keep up with the watering from transitioning it from higher humidity to ambient, then your plant's going to do better that way. And obviously it's going to, most of the time, it will show in the next couple of leaves that it puts out that, you know, it's transitioning. Like you'll have holes in your leaves, rips, some crisping. Just keep going with it, be patient, and eventually you'll get some nice leaves. Or your plant just will tell you that, no, I prefer higher humidity, put me back in the tent or the cabinet. It takes a while though, so, you know, like I've had one of these, I've had my Pappy hybrid, my crystallinum crossed with Pappy hybrid in my plant room for like a year and my dock block, and they're finally just starting to give me nice leaves. I wish I had a bigger tent because I would love to keep all of my anthuriums in my tent, but one day I'll have a bigger tent, but it is nice to have them displayed too in ambient. There is the Dracopelta. She is looking good. Hopefully she takes to the pod. I'm excited to see. Kind of nervous too. And another thing that's important, I think, with transitioning anthuriums out of higher humidity to ambient conditions is giving them like some Superthrive or some Myco, just making sure that they have the best chance by adding some soil supplements or semi-hydro supplements into the substrate that will strengthen their roots and the health of the plant, and not moving a plant that's stressed out into ambient as well. You don't want to move a plant that looks like it's going to need some rehabbing out from a higher humidity zone into ambient, because then it's just going to go downhill even more. But yes, it can definitely be done. You can definitely grow anthuriums in ambient conditions. You just have to see what works best for you by experimenting. So our next plant, okay, so I have this Amedria medium silver that I want to keep rooting, but it's got some stuff I want to chop off of the stem. So if you can see, it has a root started right here. This plant grew off a growth point off of the stem here, so I want to chop it off of this main stem. Because this main stem is just starting to look super yucky. So I'm gonna do that, chopping right where it meets the stem. And yeah, it's got another root started right there as well, you can see. And I just wanna soak this in peroxide water. I think I'll just pop it in the same vessel as the Gloriosum for now. There we go, perfect. So that one was super easy, and I don't think I'm gonna keep this. I think I'm just gonna toss it. It's kind of yucky. It's not squishy or anything, but I'm not gonna deal with that. So I'm just gonna toss that and find a different plant. Ooh, okay, I'm gonna do my Hoya, oh, what's it called? Nova Ghost, I think? The Reverted Argentea Princess. I think it's Hoya Nova Ghost. So I got this from Rachelle, which I left her details in my anthurium tour video, which went so good. Thank you guys so much for all the support with my anthurium tour video. Oh, that was really fun to make and really long. It took me so long to make that and 5 hours to upload it. YouTube was having like a slow day, and literally it took me 5 hours to upload that. So that was fun. But anyhow, continuing with the questions. Any tips for propagating Hoyas? Ah, good question. And we also have a Hoya in our hand that we just propagated, so that's kind of perfect timing. For propagating Hoyas, I suggest 2 things. Number 1, a heat mat. Hoyas love heat. Any propagations in general love heat. Number 2 would be a light above your propagation. So you want to propagate closed, in a closed container, or in a cup with like a lid on top of it, like a dome, like this, to make a mini greenhouse. Roots form so much quicker if the humidity is higher, and just those 3 things together, the heat mat, the light above, and the prop box or dome, you know, you're gonna get roots really quickly. I like to use a rooting hormone mixed with Ceylon cinnamon on my fresh cut when I chop a plant. I'll just dip it in there and just kind of let it callus for a minute or 2, depending on the thickness of the stem. And then yeah, I'll just stick it in. Hoyas especially like water to propagate in, perlite, or moss mixed with perlite. Those are the 3 substrates I will go to for propagating Hoyas. I know a lot of other people like to use stratum and such, but that's what I do, and that works for me. Here she is. She has a lot of roots. I'm gonna pop her into I think I'm gonna go my Hoya aroid mix. And I gotta find a pot for her. This one? I think that'll dry out super fast. I don't know, what do I do, friends? Maybe I'll do no drainage. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm just gonna opt for this little square container, this dessert container. And I think that that will be good. Okay, so yes, those are my tips for propagating a Hoya. Next question is, hello, what are the orange streaks or spots on anthurium leaves, especially the edges? They stay orange but don't crisp or turn brown. Looks like the tissue is still alive but stained orange. All right, I'm going to be 100% honest with you here. I am by no means an anthurium expert. I do have a lot of experience with anthuriums just from growing them and watching other people's YouTube videos and hearing about other people's experiences and reading about them. But, you know, I'm kind of learning as I go as well. I do not know the for sure answer to this question, but I do have a thought on it. So I think the orange borders or spots is from a pH imbalance. I think that is something you should check the pH of your anthurium and see what it is sitting at. It doesn't really sound too much to me like an overwatering or underwatering issue, because that usually presents with yellow or fungal spots. So yeah, I would check the pH of your plant's water and just give it a shot, see what it says. And maybe you can adjust where you need to. So here she is, my Hoya Nova Ghost. I think that's what that is Nova Ghost in her little aroid mix and no drainage. I'm gonna move on to another Hoya. This one I got in a trade with my friend Epi, and it got knocked off my plant shelf in this dome, thankfully, so it needs to get out of here. This is Hoya Morillii, if you're wondering. Hoya Morillii. She has perlite all over her. And we'll just go on to the next question. Next question is, how long have you been collecting plants and what drew you into the plant hobby? So I kind of went through this a little bit earlier in one of the earlier questions, but I've been collecting tropical houseplants since 2019. I started collecting succulents in probably 2016, 2017. So we're just gonna go with 2019 because that's when I kind of started getting really into plants. So 5 years, I would say, and it's been quite the ride. I've accumulated quite a few plants since then. And, oh, do I wanna put this one into drainage or no drainage? Maybe I should just put this one in no drainage or in drainage and see what happens. That's too big. I just found this little container I'm gonna use for no drainage for this Hoya Morillii. So yeah, 5 years. I've accumulated quite a few plants in the last 5 years, but I'm not mad about it. And what drew me into the plant hobby? Well, we bought our house and I just kind of wanted to decorate my house with plants. It just kind of made it feel more homey. So that's kind of what drew me into the plant hobby. And what kept me in the plant hobby was just seeing how much it affected my mental health and what it did for me. It's a great hobby for anybody who's going through it. And I really highly suggest picking up some plants and encouraging those around you to pick up some plants if they're having a difficult time with their mental health. I've also come across many health issues in the last 5 years, unfortunately. So that's also really helped having plants to nurture with what I was experiencing. I'm also a stay-at-home mom, so it's nice to have something to do during the day when my kids are at school. Even when they weren't at school, it was still nice just having my little jungle to tend to. My doctor, actually, I recently had a doctor's appointment and found out that I need an iron transfusion, which makes so much sense because I've been super, super low energy for a while now. So going to be getting an iron transfusion soon. This is my Morillii, I'll pot it up. And also another thing that I went there for was an ADHD assessment, which I have done a couple online and scored pretty high, so I kind of knew already, but she confirmed it, and I will be getting a professional ADHD assessment one of these days. But that explains a lot with a plant hobby too. Just always keeping busy. It just really helps to have a big plant collection to fulfill that. All right, my next question is, I would love your thoughts about the placement of plants. How do you organize yours? I have well over 300 plants and struggle to determine the best placement for them. So I just shove them where they fit. If they struggle there, I obviously move them to a different spot. But do you put all of your propagations in one spot, establish plants in another? Do you base it on lighting requirements? That's a really good question too. Okay, so I have plants all over my house. I've got better at organizing them, yes. First, I'm gonna pick a plant. Okay, so what am I gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna do this. This is a Hoya Calamantan prop that I have. I'm going to take it out of this moss and pot it into an aeroid mix for the market. So, I have gotten better at organizing my plants, definitely in the last 5 years. So I have quite a big rental right now, which I'm very fortunate to have. So I'm able to have lots of places to put plants. But I generally like to keep them kind of together, if that makes sense. Similar plants that need similar requirements together. So upstairs I have all of my Hoyas on a shelf beside my fireplace because I noticed that most Hoyas, from my experience, like 95% of my Hoyas don't really care too much about having high humidity. They care more about heat and light. So even out of the prop box, they like heat and light. So I am constantly cold all of the time, so I will sit with my feet by the fireplace, by my Hoyas, and just hang out. So I have my Hoya shelf in my living room, and it's got most of my Hoyas on it. And each shelf has a Barina grow light, which I find is best for Hoyas. And so I also have a little tent in my living room, which I use to sun stress my Hoyas, which has a very, very strong grow light in it. And it works really well to sun stress my Hoyas. So I keep the rest of my Hoyas in there to sun stress. And I also have just like some nice plants that I like to display in my living room. I have plants on my windowsills. I have plants on my island. I have bathroom plants, and the plants I like to keep in my bathroom are plants that make me happy because I like to have long baths. So I'll keep most of my succulents in there and things like that, where it just makes me happy to look at them, like the colorful cactus or whatever I have going on. And then I have my grow tent where I keep my more precious babies and babies that I haven't transitioned out of higher humidity conditions yet. I used to have so many plants in my grow tent, but I took most of them out and moved them into ambient because I just needed space. And then I have my plant room, which has all of my propagations, most of them anyways. I do have a couple propagations upstairs and in my tent, but I have my propagation. I have my ambient room humidity anthuriums. I have philodendrons. I have my cabinet here, which I keep propagations in right now, but I'd like to do this up and figure out something better to do with it. I just recently got this, so I haven't quite established a role for it yet, but it's just currently holding my propagations. So this is the roots on the Calamantan. They're looking good. I'm just gonna pot this up quick, and I think I'm just gonna put it in here. I noticed that the Callistophila doesn't like to be kept as moist in my experience, and Calamantan is a subspecies of the Callistophila. So I'm gonna put it in here, and it should be okay in my aeroid mix. I do kind of organize them to their conditions that they need. And I noticed that if I'm feeling overwhelmed, it means my plants are unorganized. So I'll have like propagations all over the house. I'll literally walk around the house with a tray, grab all of my propagations that I have spread out everywhere, and I will bring them to my propagation headquarters and put them away. And then I'll feel more sane. I'll feel less cluttered and like less busy too. So that really helps. I do have some plans for my plant room. I do want to get a shelf for my propagations because I currently have them under a table and on a table. So I'd like to get a shelf for them and put them all on a shelf with lights and just have them more organized that way. And then I want to get rid of that table, and I want to put my moss pole plants there and also my alocasias. I think that getting a couple more Barina lights would be great for that area. And I'd also like to build a begonia terrarium and have my begonias that don't need a terrarium in the same area, and syngoniums, and have a light for those as well. I do have some projects that I want to do eventually here. So we'll see how long it takes me to do those, but that is on the agenda. How do you manage such a large collection with kids, work, and life? Well, I do have my watering routine that keeps me busy. My husband works nights. Sorry, this is done. My husband works nights, so he gets home at like 11, sometimes 10. So I like to have my watering done. As soon as I drop my kids off at school, I'll come home, have a coffee, sit by the fireplace, and for like 15 minutes, and then I'll go water my plants for the day. Whatever day it is on my schedule, I'll water my plants before my husband gets home so that we can do something together, or I can go get groceries or whatever we need to do. Just have like my life during the day. And then pick my kids up from school, and then when they go to bed, like their night routine after they brush their teeth, and I read them a story and whatever else, then I will have my own time because my husband will be in bed because he works nights, so he usually goes to bed around like 7 or 8. So then I will just chill and do plant chores and watch plant YouTube, and that's kind of like my time at night, which I really need sometimes. So it's really nice to be able to spend that time with my collection. I feel very fortunate to have a lot of time to spend with my plants. And like I said, Saturdays are my cleanup days, so that kind of keeps things at bay, but sometimes I just skip them. So I've been skipping quite a few of them lately, so I do need to get on that and get my cleanup done. And I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I don't have to worry about working and keeping a plant collection. I just started YouTube, and eventually would like to be doing this for my work once I build up my channel. So I do film on Fridays because my husband works a double on Fridays. So he sleeps for pretty much the whole day. So I get to spend that day filming because everything's quiet and my kids are at school. So that's nice. I can just film on Fridays. So I've been doing that, and it's been working well for me unless my kids are homesick or something. But it's really nice to have quiet when I'm filming. It's really hard sometimes. But yes, I'm slowly figuring things out. My next question is something I'd tell myself a year ago. Start YouTube. Start it sooner. That is what I would tell myself. I'm gonna grab a plant and talk about that. Okay, I actually really want to show you guys this plant because it's in bloom. I'm really excited. So this is my begonia variabilis. I'll take her out of here. And this one is from Sala Floral. And I've just had it in this cup because I don't know what type of begonia it is. I need to do some research on it actually. But it is in bloom, and it is the cutest bloom ever. But look at that bloom, isn't it sweet? Oh, so cute. But I want to get her out of that cup because she is getting cramped in there. Her leaves are getting curved and bent all sorts of ways. So for now, I'm going to put her in this double cup kind of method. So I've wanted to start YouTube for a couple of years now. I think it's a really good way to just branch out of the hobby and kind of do other things rather than just planting and like Instagram. I've always wanted to share my knowledge of plants as well. I have learned a lot along my way from so many other people. Oh my goodness, this is in soil and an aeroid mix. Oh no, maybe I should take a propagation. I think I'm gonna do that. But anyways, so I have learned so much along my journey from a lot of other planty people, watching lots of plant YouTube. Just everybody has taught me so much. Instagram, social media, Discord, and it's just nice to be able to share that information with other people. And not only that, but just create like a little community. It's just been so nice seeing everybody. There's stratum in there too. Holy bananas. It's just been so nice seeing everybody connecting. I just really value what I've built here, and I want to expand. I want to see more people come into our little community, and I think we have been growing pretty quickly though, so I'm pretty grateful about that. So I was always nervous to start YouTube because I didn't know the first thing about editing or filming or anything. And I remember trying to film myself so many times, just seeing what I would look like filmed, and it was terrible. On my first video, I literally just turned the camera on and it was like natural to me. And I don't know how that didn't happen when I was practicing before, but yeah, I don't know. But there's that little story. But I would have definitely started YouTube sooner. That's what I would have told myself 1 year ago, because I can learn as I go. Just like plants, you know, you learn as you go. Learn from your experiences, your mistakes, your challenges. Just keep going and pushing, and you can do great things. You can do great things. Just keep creating, keep creating. Oh my goodness. Begonia roots scare the crap out of me. I think I'm gonna propagate this too though, just so I have a backup just in case. Ah, there's so much moss in there. My next question, how did you get into plants and what was the one that started it? All right, so like I said earlier, we bought a house and I wanted plants to decorate it and just kind of feel at home. And then just having plant friends, meeting plant friends slowly, just kind of kept me in the hobby, and just having plants to nurture and to be creative with and to love, you know, all of that combined is what got me into the hobby. And also just the pandemic, like during the pandemic, a lot of us were stuck at home, didn't really have much to do, stressed, you know, didn't know what was going on with the world, or scared for our other family members and their health. So we just kind of had to find things to kind of keep ourselves busy and occupy our minds. And for me, that was plants. The one plant that started it for me was definitely succulents. I don't remember which one, but I remember I used to go to buy groceries for dinner and pick up plants in the big box stores or in the grocery stores as well. For tropicals, I remember going onto Pinterest one day and seeing a picture of the Amedrium medium green, which I think I already talked about earlier in this video too. But yeah, that was the one plant where I was like, I need that plant. That plant is so beautiful. And I didn't find it for a couple of years. I thought it was fake, and then I ended up finding it and I was so happy. Ooh, I got a whole bunch of new Amedriums, 2 of them actually. So I got an Amedrium medium variegated and an Amedrium medium mint, and they're both doing so well. I love Amedriums. I think they're so, so pretty. How did you get into plants? What finally motivated you to start doing YouTube? I already went over a couple times how I got into plants, so I'll leave that there. And what motivated me to finally start doing YouTube? Well, you know, it was January. It was a new year. I didn't start till February 21st, I remember, but it was a new year, and I really wanted to start YouTube this year, and I didn't have any set plan or anything. I had some video ideas written down, and that's about it. So one day I just decided to order a microphone, and yeah, I just woke up one day and I was like, today is the day I'm doing it, and I just did it. It was nerve-wracking as heck, but I did it. I think I was more nervous about the editing side of it. I've always been in customer service, so like it's kind of natural to me to talk. I just woke up and I did it one day, and that was that. I don't know what's going on with this begonia, but there's a lot of moss stuck in those roots and it's freaking me out. You see? Maybe I should just plant it and be done with it. Oh, okay, I'm gonna take a prop first. I'm gonna have to cut off this beautiful flower. Actually, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. Okay, I'm gonna cut it right there. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna plant this in here. It's not wide enough. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna pop it in there, and eventually I want to build a begonia terrarium, so we're just gonna work with it. We're working with it. Put some more of my aerated mix and some myco in there. Oops. But yeah, so I just woke up one day and decided it was the day to film, and did it, and stuck to my 1 week schedule ever since. which I'm very proud of myself for doing. So if you are wanting to start YouTube, you know, learn as you go. I don't know anything about editing or filming, or I've never done any of this before. And I just basically turned on my camera one day and started. And I'm so happy that I did. I really wish that I would have done this a year ago, like I said. But you know what? We all start somewhere, and when we start, it doesn't really matter as long as we start, right? All right, wish this poor little begonia all the luck in the world. I'm going to just pop that lid on quick. Okay, and here's our cutting. I need to water propagate this. I'm gonna go find a vessel for that. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to cut. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to top the flower to give it its best chance. I'm sure it will flower again soon, hopefully. Big sad. But anyways, I'm going to try and propagate a leaf as well. So I'm gonna chop that bottom leaf off. Quick little begonia prop lesson for you. And then I have a longer stem to try to prop this in water with. Look how pretty that leaf is. So cute. But that is way too big. Okay, so I will be right back. So I have these teeny tiny little like shot glasses. I'm just gonna pop some water in there and make a dome just like that. So I'll try to water root that one, and then I have a leaf prop, which I usually use moss for. Maybe I'll use perlite. I have some perlite here I can use actually. Let's do that. Because then I can pot it into pond if I want to try it in pond. Okay, so we have said begonia. I don't know, dude. Oh, you know what? I have some other begonias that I want to pot up, and they're in moss. And I can probably just pop this one in here and see. Yes, I'm gonna do that. Okay. See if it grows, hopefully. So I might as well just do these other begonias while I'm here. Okay, so many decisions to make. Anyways, let's go on with another question here while I'm thinking of what I'm going to do with these begonias. What is your favorite color? That is a good question. My favorite color is blue, and I also really like black. I liked my very first favorite color from when I was a kid was green, and then like forest green, and then I changed it to blue, and it's just been blue ever since. But I do also really like black. The house is on fire. Which plant are you grabbing first? I am grabbing my Carla Blackier crossed with luxuriance from Bunny. That is the plant I'm grabbing, hands down. Top 5 favorite plants in your entire collection, and I left it blank. I forgot to research that one. Darn it. So I'm gonna have to just wing it. So my Carla Blackier crossed with luxuriance is one. My Zara Michelle for my friend Alexis, because that's very sentimental to me. That one's 2. And 3 more plants I have to grab. Oh dear. Oh dear. Which ones? Which ones do I grab? Probably my NSE Red Crystal crossed with luxuriance. I would definitely grab that. So that's 3. My King of Spades, 4. And I think my Dragon's Breath. So that's 5, my Alocasia Dragon's Breath. I cannot with her. She is so freaking cool. So 4 anthuriums and 1 alocasia. That's such a hard question because I also really love my Hoya mirabilis. Ugh. Nope, I'm sticking with my 4 anthuriums and my 1 alocasia. My favorite song at the moment. This is really hard to get these out, so I'm just gonna try and squeeze and pull quick. My favorite song at the moment is a song that has been stuck in my head for like since January, which is Adele, Hello. And the reason why it is stuck in my head is because it reminds me of one of my late friends, Cynthia. Her and I were very, very close, and she was tragically taken in a car accident, and her birthday is in January. So that song just always reminds me of her, and I never knew why. And she actually started a YouTube channel for makeup. She was doing her makeup in a YouTube channel, and I found it. And guess what song I heard on there? It was that song. Like, that just, I have like the shivers. Oh, I miss her so much. But yeah, she was doing her makeup to Adele, Hello, and it was like a remix, and oh my goodness. That song just reminds me so much of her, and I miss her so freaking much. She was literally, her smile and laugh were just so contagious. She was such a sweet, sweet human. Okay, so I have two plantlets. This one doesn't really have much for roots. And this one has a bit of roots. And I think there's a couple more in here too. Yeah. Look at that little farm. So cute. Look at that. This is my begonia Lyman Smithy Eye. My friend grew from seed and sent me one a while ago, and I've just been propagating the heck out of it because it's my favorite. It's so cute. I'm wondering if I should just put these back into moss, because I tried these one time in an arid mix and it didn't grow well for me. The question is, do I have any moss ready? I'm gonna have to go check on that, I think. Okay, I'm gonna go do that quick and just take a 5-minute break. But anyways, my favorite song is Adele, Hello, because it reminds me of my friend Cynthia. All right, we are back with a coffee and some moss and some cups to pot up those begonias, and we have 2 more questions left. So that didn't take that long. That coffee's delicious. Okay, so the first question is, what is your favorite substrate? That is easy for me. My favorite substrate is pon. I love pon. I'm a pon lover. I have loved pon pretty much since I heard about it. It took me a while to figure it out. I'm not gonna lie. I experimented with pon probably 2 or 3 times and gave up on it and kept trying before I actually just stuck with it. So yes, pon. I can mix pon with everything. A lot of my plants like pon. You can reuse it. It's just all around my favorite substrate. Oh, it's so cute. Look, little baby begonia Lyman Smithy Eye. Cute. And I brought some paper towel because I just rinsed these cups and I want to tape them. So I'm gonna dry this off. Find another cup as a lid. Oh, spill it all over myself. Spill it on the moss. Sorry, I'm just gonna quickly wipe this and we can stick the lid on and talk about the next question. Okay. Ugh, I hate it when there's stuff in moss. I was just talking about pon, so that totally confused me. Anyways, what is the maximum number of plants that you can accommodate currently? That's a really good question, actually. So, my rental is actually quite large, which we lucked out with. Our last rental, it had a sunroom, but it was not in the best state, and now it's being torn down. So we got really, really lucky and got a nice big rental. So I could technically accommodate, I don't know, I think right now with all of my plants and props, I'm probably pushing 500 combined. So I could probably accommodate 1,000 because, shelves and stuff. Maybe a little bit less than that. My mental health, I don't know if I could accommodate 1,000 plants. but I could currently, with my space, accommodate probably close to 1,000 if I had them all arranged properly around my house. Because I do have a lot of shelving space, that like wall space that I could use for shelves. The only thing is I can't hang things in my rentals, so that's why I don't like hang grow lights, and I just have the ones that stand up vertical, or like the Amazon bar lights that bend. But yeah, so that is a very good question. Thank you so much for that. I'm out of questions, but I'm just gonna chatter for the rest of these begonias. That was a lot of fun, answering all your questions. Thank you guys so much for everybody who put questions in. I really appreciate that. This is my first repot and chat, and I think it went pretty good. We'll see how it is when I go to edit it though. So I have some questions for you guys now. I want to know, number one, where is everybody from? I want to know where all my viewers are from. I think that that's very interesting, and I kind of want to know where everybody's watching from. Number two, if you have a Planty YouTube channel, please leave it in the comments, and I really want everybody to explore and see if there are other YouTube channels in the comments. Please go give them a like and a follow and check out what they have to say. The Planty community is so amazing, and we have just been blessed with some of the most amazing creators. I cannot tell you how shocked I am about how friendly all of the other creators are. Like literally, I'm over the moon excited about what the future holds for YouTube. I think that everybody that has shouted me out on their channels or mentioned me, all of the support that I have been messaged from other creators has just been so freaking positive, and like makes me tear up a little bit. I didn't expect everybody to be so welcoming. Like it's crazy. Crazy how friendly the plant community is, and I'm just so blessed. I feel so blessed to have all of the support from everybody, viewers and creators, just everybody all together. Like thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm speechless. Not many people get to say that their work environment isn't toxic. And I think, you know, once I am able to get monetized on YouTube and really build up my community, and I can get paid monthly and actually make some money off of it, then I can call it my job. But for now, I'm like, I haven't worked in 10 years, so this is my job. And it's really fun being able to go to work on Fridays and make videos and like no toxicity. Everybody's just been so positive, and not many people get to say that. I hear a lot of people complain about how their work environment is so toxic, and everybody is just, you know, stressed out from the pandemic and life and the economy. It's just so nice to be involved in such an amazing community, and I just wanted to thank you guys for that. Another question I have for you guys is for some feedback. I'm pretty open to negative and positive feedback, like about my editing or my videos, my content, anything that you would like to give me feedback on, of ways I can improve or content I can create, or just anything, editing tips, you know, what you guys see on your end that looks good and what maybe I can improve on. That would be so helpful to me. If you guys could leave me some feedback, I would appreciate that so much. And don't be scared if it's something that, you know, I can work on. Like, I'm so open to that. It's all valuable information to me, and I can learn and grow from what you guys tell me. And that's so empowering to me. So please find something that you can leave as a comment and just let me know how I'm doing. I would love to hear. I need some feedback. And the last question I'm going to ask you guys is, how did you get into the plant community? This was my most asked question for my Q&A, was how did you start plants? How did you get into the plant community? I want to know how you guys did too. I think the plant community is such a beautiful place. There's so many amazing growers and beautiful plants, and we all just like feed off each other, you know? It's so nice to see how people are displaying their plants, what plants are being bought, what everybody's wish list plants are, all of that. So Tell me how you got into plants. I'm genuinely curious to know how you got into plants. Also, I'm going to be leaving another poll on my community tabs. If you haven't been over there, I do post on there once in a while. I mean, life has been, the last 2 weeks, my life has just been crazy busy. Like, it's just been insane. I don't know if that comes with spring or everything just happened at once, but I haven't had really much time to post on social media or on my community tabs or any of that. So I'm gonna get back into that now that I think things are slowing down. So if you want to head over to my community tabs, I'm going to be posting another poll on what video I'm going to upload next. I did ask people on my Instagram stories, I asked the plant people for some video ideas, and I am going to go through those ideas and pick 4 of your guys' ideas to make content about, and then you guys can all vote on them, and I'll make that one of my upcoming videos. Next video, I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do. I have a couple propagation bins in my tent that are kind of needing to be refreshed and things need to get potted up in there. I tend to leave those for quite a while sometimes. So I was thinking maybe I'll do that for my next video. I think that's a good idea. And I also have my plant market coming up on May 5th, which I'm really excited about. You guys know what's crazy? I have a clay bowl label maker, which I showed you guys in my propagation tour video. And so this thing, legit, I've had it for like 2 years and it's never ran out of battery. So it's never died on me. It came with a charger. I just never ever used it because I never had to. And the charger is missing. I don't know what I did with it, and it's dead. So I ordered another charger, so hopefully I couldn't find one specifically for the clay bowl label maker, but I did find a USB Bluetooth charger I'm hoping is going to work. So that should be in, I think, today or tomorrow. And then I can get pricing my plants for the plant market and organizing them. I really am excited for the plant market. That's my favorite market. I love seeing all the plant people, all the people that I sell plants to online. It's just nice to put a face to the name. So that'll be really, really sweet. If you are on Vancouver Island, are you guys going to the plant market? Let me know. It's on May 5th in Nanaimo. My friend Katey, she is one of my dear friends. She's going to come with me again. She came with me last year, which was my first year, and it was such a high turnout rate. Like it was very successful plant market. There's going to be some new vendors this year, which I'm really excited to see who it is. I have no idea. I just sent over Mackenzie my photos for her little poster she's gonna make up. So I'm excited to see the poster she creates. If you guys don't know who Mackenzie is, she is pretty.planty over on Instagram, and she has got some beautiful plants, and her photography skills, they are unreal. Like, I wish I had those skills. I'm seriously considering like taking a photography or editing course, just like one that I can do at my own kind of speed, my own pace. I think that would be fun to do as a little side project to help my YouTube channel, and I'm just interested in it. Did I not bring my moss lit up with me? I don't think I did. Anyways. But anyways, that is all, friends. We did a lot today. Thank you for asking me all those questions and giving me some time to pot up some things that I've needed to do for a while now. I'm really excited to see how everything does in its new substrate, and I'll keep you guys posted. And that is all for me today. I wanted to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for supporting my Plant Heat channel, and I hope that you're having a very beautiful day wherever you are. Thank you. Bye.